Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever applies to you. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Julia. I'm a contemporary singing specialist based in Australia, and today I am reacting to You'll Be Back from Hamilton. Let's dive in.
You say the price of my love's not a price that you're willing to pay. You cry in your tea, which you heard in the sea when you see me go by. Why so sad? Remember we made an arrangement when you went away. Now you're making me mad. Remember, despite our estrangement, I'm your man. You'll be back, soon you'll see. You'll remember you belong to me. You'll be back, time will tell. You'll remember that I served you well. Oceans rise, empires fall. We have seen each other through it all. And when push comes to shove, I will send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my love. Da 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 da
Okay, we will lead back into that section again. Straight off the bat, Jonathan Groff, what a fantastic performer, really encapsulating the characteristics of this king. And to me, he's almost a bit of a caricature, enough that you get the impression that obviously they're playing to some stereotypes and really working certain comedic elements a little bit harder because, oh my God, what an impression does Jonathan Groff's version of the king make. Like, this is fantastic stuff. The physicality, the eye contact that he prolongs, the fact that he's standing still and you're getting the majority of the things through his expression is just, it sets itself up for being able to take a song where the lyrics are a little bit terrifying, like I will kill your friends and family, later on, kill your friends and family to remind you of my love. Like, that is straight up Psycho. And yet we're finding him hilarious. And part of it is because of his timing with his expressions. Voice-wise, predominantly staying in first register. He's changing the weights and the resonant placement for a few of those notes. In particular, if you hear how he's saying the word cry, future Julia, if you could insert cry, that would be great.
You cry.
There's a little bit more of a whingy quality up there, so he's lightened other qualities as well. For example,
Why so sad comes to shove.
And this gives us a sense of the character, and it's a real play on some of the stereotypical British accents, but ultimately it's shaping this really impactful character because out of this whole show, obviously Hamilton and Eliza and Angelica and all of these characters have quite an impact on you as the viewer, but for me, the king is so memorable, and yet he's only on stage, what, 2-3 times? Like, the impact that Jonathan Groff's king has is that you don't forget him. If you leave forgetting everyone else's name except maybe Hamilton's, you will not forget the king. Like, he's fantastic. A couple of other little things that I can mention, but we're going to keep going and I'll explore them when they come up. So at the moment, resonant placement, really good steady first register, changing his weight decisions on where he wants to put on certain words, a little bit of a whingy quality and then a lighter mechanism quality, creating this almost upper crust British accent and really playing up this character of the king, of this it's almost like he's a bit of a baby, a very powerful baby who will get what he wants when he wants it in whichever way he has to get it in order to have it. So we're going to keep going. But yeah, Jonathan Groff is just sensational.
Da 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 da. You say our love is draining and you can't go on. You'll be the one complaining when I am gone.
Okay, so that's interesting. So on the first section with You Say Our Love is Draining, his intonation there swung quite a little bit. Some of the notes were smack bang in the middle, and then others were not quite sitting where they were meant to. Now, this could have been absolutely a deliberate choice on the part of Jonathan Groff because he's just that good a singer. He could have deliberately just been like, you know what, I want him to sound a little bit more crazy, so I'm just gonna like make those pitches sound ambiguous up there. But then that balanced out in the next line with, you'll be the one complaining when I am gone. The other thing that could have potentially influenced the difference between the resonance and the intonation of those two lines is the vowel that he's actually using. So in you'll be the one complaining, the sound sets you up for a longer vocal tract, which is going to change sort of the resonant frequencies of the space the sound has to resonate in. So because of that, some sounds are going to sound more powerful, which might mean you don't work as hard in order to push them up. And as you know, if you're a singer, particularly in musical theatre, the harder you try, the harder it actually is. So sometimes you need to deconstrict to be able to get freedom and placement and resonance in the right spot. But coming out of this, my point is the second line was perfect. All of the resonance frequencies lined up. There was a difference in vowel between that line and the first one, but yeah, there was a little bit of intonation. The second line, it was tidied up. So, you know, it could have been a choice on his part, but quite frankly, I don't care. I don't care because this character is unstable. He's, you know, one or two notes could have been a choice, might not have been. At the end of the day, I don't care. If the rest of it was like that, yeah, maybe I'd care, but right now, nah, it's Jonathan Groff, like, come on.
And now, don't change the subject.
Oh, God, so good.
'Cause you're my favorite subject.
Again, that like element of Psycho. And no, like being able to just change it into this quite a violent sound and the spittle goes flying. It makes him seem really abusive, which is kind of, I guess, an element of the character that they're trying to build up. Bit of an abusive character because, again, I'll kill your friends and family to remind you of my love. Is that really love? Maybe to him. But it's not to the rest of us. Like, I mean, I guess I don't want to assume, but yeah, this is fantastic. I want to go back and see that again because, God, I love it.
I am gone. And now, don't change the subject. 'Cause you're my favorite subject.
Yeah, all right.
My sweet, submissive subject. My loyal, royal subject. Forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. You'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war for your love, for your praise, and I'll love you till my dying days. When you're gone, I'll go mad, so don't throw away this thing we had. 'Cause when push comes to shove, I will kill your friends and family to remind you of my love. Da 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 da.
His physical choices, his expressive choices are so good. Jonathan Groff could walk all over me. Let's be real. I mean, God. Okay, so what do I mean by physical choices? I mean the way that he's standing combined with how long he's staring at times. So that prolonged eye contact is just, again, feeding to this big circle of really powerful enough that he doesn't feel the need to wipe his spit away at the end, which is, again, like, I'm the king. I can do what I want. There's spit going down my face. I don't care. You will put up with it because I am king. So he's got this spit coming down his face, and then he's just staring for a prolonged period of time. And then it gets to a point where it's a little bit uncomfortable. And because it's uncomfortable, the moment he changes to that other thing, it's almost like, oh, thank God that's over. So we giggle because we're like, oh, God, thank goodness that the staring is done. But his timing with the staring and all of that feeds into like a sense of comedy throughout this whole song when really they're setting up this king to, he's not a good guy, okay? He's not happy with the situation he's in, but he's also, based on the behavior demonstrated in this song, he does not have a healthy view of the people who are his subjects. And they've probably been paying for that for a while. So we're going to keep going. I think we're almost done. Even the jaw, come on.
Everybody.
So good. Phenomenal performer. If you're in like the musical nerd world, or even just the musical world, you don't really need to be a theatre nerd to know who Jonathan Groff is. If you know who Jonathan Groff is, you know that he is an exceedingly talented man. His vocal storytelling, his expressive storytelling, his physical storytelling are just exceptional. When we're talking about specific vocal skills, however, his articulation is fantastic. On the topic of articulation, because he's doing a British accent and he's trying to make it sound like obviously the upper crust of British society. He is the king, he's at the top. All of the peasants and other people are below him. There are some vowel changes and other consonant placements that he's having to change. A really obvious one in this song is the word back. So if we're Australian, we've got back, which is this ack sound. If you've got, and then he's changing it to back. So you've got this quality there. You'll be back. This quality. And his tongue is having to do different things for different vowels. So overall, the vocal setup doesn't really change all that much. He's staying predominantly in his first register. He's shifting his resonances around to create different timbral effects so that we really get the vocal characters of this king. And also, of course, it's a little bit of a caricature of like your higher class British accent, of course. And then as we're journeying on through the song, we're staying in similar registrations, and then we hit the bridge. And we've got this one moment where it sounds like it's going up into falsetto. For the basis of this reaction, it might be a good idea to know that when I say falsetto, I mean the tone of falsetto. I'm not referring to it as a register, because you can technically create a falsetto tone within the same register that you create other vocal sounds. There's just a little bit more fold closure, where it sounds like it's going to falsetto. It's a really, really, really light quality. It's a really, really light mechanism, essentially. But he's flipping up there, and then he comes back down. We're back in our first register again with different weights at different parts. And then, of course, at the end, it's a repeat of stuff we've already done. I love when he does the everybody, because it's like, no, he's the king. We do what the king says. And I just think that really cements your first impression of this character from start to finish. You will remember the king from this show. I mean, this performance is iconic. At least in my book. I love Jonathan Groff's performance of You'll Be Back. Anyways, that is it from me today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed that. If you did, give this video a like. Click the subscribe button if you want more. As usual, I hope you are staying safe. I hope you are staying healthy. And I will see you next time. Bye.
I am gone. And now don't change the subject, 'cause you're my favorite subject.
In Australia, we don't tend to get the shows out as quickly as they do in America. Like with Hamilton, I saw it first on Disney+. I haven't been able to see it in person because Hamilton hasn't actually made its way to Australia yet. I think they're selling tickets for a season, but it hasn't actually performed in the land down under just yet. So I rely on accessing Broadway performances of shows from elsewhere, shall we say.